Hi.
Hi.
My book, along with Brent's chapbook, is available in the back corner. And I thought I would read a piece that dovetails nicely with the first piece of the evening about dreams. Dreamcatcher. When calling after a receding dream, keep your eyes closed, let your mind go soft, and press your head just so into the pillow. It takes practice. Yeah. It takes a lot of practice to walk between worlds. And so often the messages are dull and pedestrian. So often the messages are dull and pedestrian, or else they are the unnourished, malformed children we thought we'd left behind. How do they catch up to us on curled, boneless feet? The world below. The world's tallest trees are underwater where gravity can't get to them. They reach for a greenish blob of light, the mythical sun, which none have lived to see free of its wavering veil. For as soon as they puncture the surface, they're painfully burned on their uppermost new and tender leaves. And this kills them. It really does. One last poem from my book, and then I'll read my toxic assets piece. This is called The Yukon. The Yukon keeps me up at night, just knowing its vast coldness is up there, bleeding in the dark. And landfills, who can forget landfills? The layers, the leach-it, our lush, dark polyethylene hearts. And poor dethroned Pluto, emasculated god of the underworld, going around and around exactly like before. You can rest now, sir. Nothing depends on you. You can lie awake beside me, let me whisper in your ear, tundra, tundra. And this is called the Orgasm Museum. The museum itself is solid enough, built of brick and steel, a former textile mill crouched next to a stream. In the days when cloth was dyed there, the stream ran indigo, or viridian, or blood red, depending on the day's color bath. Mostly women worked in the mill, in long, mud-colored aprons, and hats like folded paper boats. In those cramped little industrial New England towns, everyone was always waiting for something. Romance, payday, childbirth, summer. But in the meantime, they worked hard and occasionally perished in fires. You will want to know what color the stream was on the day of the fire. Unfortunately, that detail went unrecorded. You might want to picture the whole scene in grainy black and white. The flames shooting white from the windows, gray bodies jumping from the flames into the black foliage, the black stream. Anyway, the reason I tell you all this is because history is invisible. Without some plaque on the wall or voiced over miniseries, you wouldn't even know it was there, covering itself in layer after layer, like a debt that keeps growing, whether you touch it or not. The curators of the Orgasm Museum were not unaware of these concerns when they stumbled across the property at the public auction house. Since the mill fire, the building had been an orphanage, a school, and a chocolate factory. Each incarnation an attempt to bury the last, with children, with geometry lessons, with candy. And now this attempt to elevate the intangible, to display the unseen. It was the late 60s, and orgasms were everywhere. The curators went out with silk nets and chloroform and spray fixative and captured and captured and captured. Once inside the museum, what strikes you first is the discrepancy in the size of the specimens. Some sprawl across whole walls or hang from the ceiling like macrame florists. Some seem to be eating away at the walls like an acid. Others are displayed perched on the head of a pin with a magnifying glass on a string nearby. These smaller specimens tend to be densely packed and symmetrical, like cut jewels. Probably chosen for that reason. I mean, you don't want to peer through a microscope at something too abstract. The passage of time has been less than kind. Many are delicately falling apart, like lace antimacassars. Who would have thought an orgasm could start to look fussy? They can't be cleaned, either by feather dusters or by sharp bursts of compressed air. So mostly what you see when you look at them are the molecules of dust that have attached to them over the years. Still, in the tattered shapes that inhabit the chambers and corridors of the museum, something remains of their former radiance. This one's like a leaf, pulsed around a single vein. This one is a painting of tigers on black velvet, the tigers long gone. This one kept coming, like clowns from a Volkswagen, then like knotted kerchiefs pulled from a painted mouth. This is the kind of place you come to alone. Couples break up here. I've never had anything like that, she says, when a seed gets planted. Anyone who walks in can't help remembering their best orgasm. These memories rarely include husbands or wives, boyfriends or girlfriends, not current ones anyway. This one has no center, but appears rhizomatic, like ginger root, or like the masses rising in revolution. This one is a painting of a woman. She looks a bit like your mother. Oh my God, you realize, my mother has orgasms. This one is a movie, an endless loop. It follows a jangling path, no characters. It's what you see when you close your eyes. It's who you are when you are nothing. There are no placards next to the orgasms. Rather, there are numbers. And if you wish, you can go to the card catalog and look them up. Each card simply lists a name, date, and place of origin. James, 1967, Brownsville, Texas. Annika, 1970, Roanoke, Virginia. Jorge, 1969, Vacaville, California. A map lights up in your mind, a whole other country taking shape. You were spinning, and they took you down. You were vague, imprecise, groaning with blue. They pressed you under their thumbs and stopped you wandering. You are the remnant, remembering the whole. Later you will shrink back into yourself. This part is important if you want to get things done. There's one room you don't want to go into, adjoining the main gallery. Small jars line many tiers of shelves. There are no numbers here to cross-reference. These are the orgasms that never were. The ladies that leapt with no hope of landing. There is a gate that swings open, swings shut. These are the birds that misjudged the distance. They flew through the gate at the wrong moment and were crushed. That's all for you. Thank you.